Hello, welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do data visualization using n8n Google Sheets and Grafana. This is the final product of the video or tutorial. So this is my Grafana dashboard, and you can see that I have several graphs here and charts to visualize my data. So the data that I'm visualizing is actually in this Google Sheet. I have a mock-up of data here for a perfume store. So I have the orders made, the date when the orders were made, the customer name, the product, the quantity, the unit price, the payment method, and the country, which I also refer to as regions within this context. Then I have a simple n8n workflow that is doing that. So we have a webhook, which is listening to the request from Grafana. And this webhook is proceeding to fetch the data from Google Sheet. Then I do data transformation with the aggregate. Then I respond to the webhook because the webhook needs to get the data back to Grafana. So you can see that I'm able to get the revenue, and that this revenue is based on the last 7 days. This is the range that I've selected, like the last 7 days, but you can as well just use this to give you the range. Then I also have the total orders for the last 7 days. I have the average order value for the last 7 days. I have the analysis for the sales per country or per region. I've used this type of graph. Then apart from that, I have sales per day represented by a bar graph. This one here, you can see 7 days listed. Then I have like a total sales summary, like a general sales summary where I have listed all the countries, the customer, the date, the order, and all that. So I'm able to do some sorting here. I'm able to do the names. I can even sort the payment method, and this is just a very tiny capabilities of Grafana that I've used here, but I know there are a lot of things you can do with Grafana. So let's change this to maybe 2 days, the last 2 days, and see if the values are going to change. So when I do that, it's going to give us only 2 days for the sales. So it says for the last 2 days. So this is at 8 October and this is 9th October. And then the revenue, you can see the revenue is also changed, reduced, because we're only dealing with 2 days, and the orders made for the last 2 days is only 20. The average order value is this one here. And you can see the dates. So it's from 8 to 9th October. I can change this to a lot of time ranges. I can do it for the last 6 months. Let me do it for the last 30 days. Watch these values, they're going to change a lot. So when I choose the last 30 days, you'll see that the orders are 300 and the revenue is 76K, of course, in dollars. Then the average, you see the sales per region, per country. You can see it is listing 30 days here. So sales each day for the last 30 days. And you can see that even our table is listing the sales from 10th of September to around, we just scroll, it's a lot. So this is enough for introduction. I'll move ahead and do the configuration of n8n Grafana and the Google Sheets. So this is my n8n dashboard. I have created a workflow and named it visualization. If I open the workflow, there's nothing inside. So we shall start from scratch. I'll start by creating a webhook that is going to listen for requests from Grafana. So I'll search for webhook. Then within this webhook, everything else remains the way it is, except that we want this webhook not to send the response immediately, but it's going to respond using a respond to webhook node. So I'll select that. And then for now, I think we shall leave the n8n and just go to Grafana so that Grafana is able to send a request here. So I will leave this the way it is. I'll just go to my other tab there and search for Grafana. It's supposed to be grafana.com, but if you're not able to get this link, just search for Grafana using the Google search and look for search icon. So it's, you see, it's grafana.com here. So if I click on this first link, it should get me to this documentation page. So you can learn more about Grafana from here. We're interested with the visualization, so I'll just click on the search icon here or symbol and search for Docker image, because I'll use Docker to install this. Then within the list that you're given, select run Grafana Docker image or Grafana documentation. So it's the second link. I'll click on that, and it's going to take me to these instructions. You can take your time to read them if you're interested, but you can as well just use this command within your PowerShell or a terminal if you're using maybe MacBook. So I'm using a Windows machine, so I'll just open my PowerShell and run this command, and the Grafana will be installed in my system. Make sure you have Docker installed, because we are installing a Docker image and running a Docker container. It's very easy to install Docker. You can research about that. Currently, I have a Docker here, and you can see within the desktop that I have a Grafana container running. But I'll add another container and also run it in a different port. This one is running on a localhost 3000. So what I'll do, I'll copy this command, then search for PowerShell. So I'll open my PowerShell and just expand everything. I'll clear the text that is already here with the search command. Then I'll paste what I copied from the documentation of Grafana. So the name section here represents the name of your container. I already have such container running, so I'll just modify the name to Grafana 2. Then externally, the other container is running on port 3000, so we can't run two containers on the same port externally. So I'll change this to 3001. And those are the only changes that I need to make. But for your case, if you don't have Grafana installed in your system, or you don't have any other container running at port 3000, then you just copy this command the way it is, and you just paste it in your terminal, and it should be able to download the image and spin up the container for you. So if I hit enter, then the container will run immediately. The reason why my container is running immediately is because I already have the image downloaded when I ran the first command, or the first installation of Grafana, which is already running in my system. So I've ran the second one here, and you can see that I have a new container known as Grafana 2. And you see that the port is 3001, but all can run internally at the same port because they're not using the system environment. They are using the Docker container environment. And these containers are isolated. There is nothing else we shall do in the terminal or in the PowerShell. I'll just close it for now. Even in the Grafana documentation, there's nothing we are going to do. I'll just close this. I also have my Google Sheet here with the sample data that I created using AI, which has an order ID, date text, which is just the same as a date. This one is not, it's irrelevant, but let it be there. Then I have the customer name. Then I have the product. I have quantity, unit price, payment method, and the country. This is enough kind of data. So we shall be able to do a lot of analysis or visualization of our data to analyze the sales of our perfumes. We don't want to waste a lot of time explaining this. Let's head to Grafana. So it's running at localhost 3001. So if I visit this, it's going to take me to this dashboard. When you're doing it for the first time, you'll just use a default username and password, which is admin. So the password is admin and the username is also admin. Let me just confirm that by revealing the password. When I click on login, it's going to ask me to reset the password. So I'll go ahead and do that, but you can as well skip it if you don't want to reset your password. But remember, it's going to be less secure. Then I'll just confirm the same password that I have configured the new password, Then I'll hit submit, and that is going to take me to now my homepage or dashboard. So the real dashboards now, which are going to display your panels or your graphs, is this one here. So click on it. And right now you can see that I don't have any dashboard. You haven't created any dashboard. That is what you see here. So I'll be able to create a dashboard here. Maybe before I do that, I need to do some connections because I need to connect to n8n. So I'll add a new connection. And I'll need two plugins. One is Infinity. Infinity is going to help me to fetch JSON data, and it can do it dynamic. So it's dynamic, like if I can set maybe the fetching to be done after every second or 1 minute or 5 minutes or even 30 or even an hour. So I'll install this. It's going to take a few seconds, maybe 5 seconds to install it. Let's be patient with this. It's done. The other connection that I'll need is JSON. So JSON is going to be the last plugin that we are going to install here. So you see Infinity is installed already. So I'll click on install again. And JSON is also installed. After that, I'll go back to the dashboards. I'll create a dashboard. Then I'll add a visualization. So within the visualization, I need to configure a data source because I don't have any data source here. If I click on it, configure data source, I should be able to search for Infinity. It's this one here. So health check was successful. Successful again. So I'll come back to data sources, connections. I'll go back to the dashboards, create a new dashboard, add visualization again, and you see that Infinity is now listed here. So I'll just click on that, and it gives you like some dummy data to show you how your data is going to be. But this is not a reflection of what we have in the Google Sheet. So this is not our Google Sheet. I'll go ahead and just copy now the test URL from n8n workflow, which is for the webhook. And I'll go back to the Grafana panel and just paste the URL here. And before I do that, I'll have a listening event here. Then when I click outside, it should be able to fetch the data. So there is an error, and the error is that we don't have the response to our webhook. So we need to temporarily disable this so that we make it immediately. Then we have a listening test again. So I'll come back to Grafana. pretend that I'm editing. Then if I click outside, it's going to actually fetch data. You see, there is a request that is coming and our webhook is outputting the data here. So after the webhook has got a request from Grafana, it needs to fetch the data, and it's going to get the data from Google Sheet. So I'll add the Google Sheet node here. So I'll just search for sheet. And the action that I want is to get rows. So I have an existing credential for connecting to the Google Sheet. So I'll not do this from scratch. Just search online on how to connect n8n to Google APIs. Be able to link your Google Sheet documents. So my documents are listed here, and the one that I'm working on is the Centora sales data. So I'll click on that. It has one sheet, so I have to choose it also. So let me choose this. Then I'll execute to see if I'll be able to get any data. So you see that we have a lot of data here, because if you read this, you'd see that it's 10,150 items. So AI generated a lot of data for me. Now I need to be able to respond back to the request of my webhook using a JSON object. But now there is no way we can just take this data, because it's not represented by any variable. So to get that to be represented by a variable, I'll use the aggregate node, so that I'll be able to take all my items and represent these items using one variable. So let me search for aggregate. Then within the aggregate, I need to aggregate all item data into a single field or a list, like that. Then put output field, put output in field. So the field name that I want, I'll just leave it as data, but you can change this if you want. Then everything else remains the same. So if I execute this, it's gonna take a few seconds, because actually our Google Sheet is very large. So it's telling us the node contains 2 MB. So it's going to slow down the browser temporarily. That is not a problem. We shall just show the data here. And you can see that I'm able to represent, or I'm able to assign all my data into one field or one variable known as data, that is indicated here. And then after doing this, I'll now need to respond to the webhook. So I'll search for webhook response, or respond to webhook, this node here. So that node is now going to send the response back to our webhook, and the webhook will now send the data to Grafana. So let's configure that. We want to respond with JSON data, because that is what Grafana expects. So I'll select JSON. Then the body of our data, I want to use an expression. So I'll show the data again here. And I'll just drag. Let me clear what I already have, or the boilerplate. Then just drag this data variable here. And this should be able to respond. So if I execute this, let's wait and see. Yeah, so it is successful. But we need to make an adjustment on the webhook itself, because now we had set it to respond immediately, but we want to use respond to webhook node. So it's going to wait for that instead of sending the response immediately. So for this case now, I'll just maybe run a test. So it's listening. I'll go to Grafana, try to edit. So I'll remove my 0 and re-add it again. And I'll just click outside. You'll see that it's refreshing here. But there's no data yet. So if I get back to my webhook, it actually executed. So Grafana is complaining about the body. So our webhook is okay, the path is okay, authentication is okay, options is also okay, and everything executed correctly here. So there's no problem with the n8n. I'll just activate this, but before I do the activation, I need to open this and get the production URL so that when it's active, that is the webhook URL that will be available for Grafana. So I'll copy that and just paste it here. And I'll try to refresh. Yeah, we now have the data being fetched. So this is a good thing. We have data and we have a lot of data. So it's time now to start visualizing our data. So right now, this is our first panel, and I want this panel to be the revenue. So let's get the revenue of our sales. So to get the revenue, it means that we are going to take the quantity of an order and multiply by the unit price. Then whatever we are going to get, we are going to have a total of it. So it means that we need to be able to generate a table using Grafana. We need to be able to generate another field here for the revenue. So multiply quantity by the unit price and it will generate a revenue field. Then the sum of all that is now going to give us the total revenue within a specific period of time. So that is where the magic begins. I'll go ahead and under visualization, I'll just choose a gauge. And right now you can see it's just messing everything, but we shall fix that. So within the transformation, we need to add some transformations here. The first transformation that I need to add is to convert my date into time, because right now this seems to be just a string. So we need to specifically tell Grafana that this is a time, so that we are able to filter our data depending on the time or time range or date. So I'll add a transformation here, and the first kind of transformation is known as convert field type. This one. So the field that I want to convert is known as date. You can see it's listing all my fields. So I'll select date. And the type of conversion is I want to convert it to time, and the format, I'll just use the default format, which is starting with the year, then month, then day. Like that. I'll add another transformation, and that transformation is going to generate to make our panels now to respond to the time filters or range that we are going to select. This one is known as a filter data by values. So I'll search for filter data by values. Let me just scroll up. So the filter type is going to be include, and I want to match all the conditions. Then I'll need to add a field that I want to filter. My field is going to be date, and I want the date in between, so I'll choose in between, and the value remains the way it is, from to. Then after that, I'll also add another transformation, which is now going to calculate the revenue field that I want to add. So I'll add another transformation, and this transformation is known as filter fields by name. Before that, I need to add field calculation. So I need to add a field from the calculation that I'm going to make. So this one. So this is going to give us this add field from calculation. And the mode that I'm going to use is known as the binary operation. Binary operation is able to allow us to make arithmetic calculations. So I want to take my unit price and multiply by quantity. So the multiplication is the asterisk, and the other field is a quantity, like that. Then the new field that I'm going to create will be known as revenue, like that. Let me just make sure that the spelling is correct. Yeah, that's my field. Then I'll just add all calculations. So right now, if I scroll down, you see that I have a gauge, but there's no any data that is listed there, because by default, it is listing the last 6 hours. So I don't have any cells. I'll probably just use the last maybe 7 days. So if I select the last 7 days, it's going to refresh everything, and it's going to give us this as our revenue. So I'll scroll back and add another transformation. This time round, the transformation is filtering by field name, because it's just giving us random values here. It doesn't know which the value field these values are supposed to come from. So let me add filter fields by name. So filter fields by name, which is this one here. And the field name that I want to filter is known as revenue. So everything else remains the same, but I'll just check revenue, like that. So revenue is confirmed. Then after that, I need to get the total of all the revenue records. So I'll add another transformation, and we are going to use array reduce method. So I'm going to use the reduce transformation. So within the reduce transformation, I'm going to take the total, not max. I'll remove the max. And we are done. So if I scroll back, you see that we have now a gauge. It's giving us the total revenue, but you can as well just modify that on the far right. So you can give this a title of revenue panel. So let's call it revenue. Description, you can leave it like that. You can even use suggestions here so that you make it more beautiful. I think I'm going to go with maybe this one. Yeah. Then you can as well add the currencies if you want. So you just scroll down and look for maybe the currency. Just a minute. Just checking my notes. So units, I'm going to use currency as my units. And the currency, I am assuming that my business is selling in dollars. So select dollars, and you can see that it's 19,000. I mean 19.6K. as the total revenue for the last 7 days. I'll just go ahead and save this. And if I go back to the dashboard, you'll see that my panel is now added. So go back to the dashboard and you see this gauge is added. So I'm able to gauge my revenue like for the last 2 days, 7 days, 30 days. So if I select 30 days, you see it's refreshing and you see there's a difference here. So it has increased. So the next thing I'm going to do is just to duplicate this so that I'll be able to make more adjustments. I'll pull it to the left. Then I need to do the orders, total orders made within a specific period of time. Maybe the last 30 days, how many orders have we maybe incurred or received from the customers. So I'll do the same for the orders. I'll just do the editing so that it doesn't reflect the revenue but reflects the orders. So you'll spend a lot of time on the transformations. It's going to fetch the same data, everything else remains the same. I'll just go to the transformations. And the first transformation is going to remain the way it is because we need to transform our date to time. So after transforming the date to time, we need to make sure that this is actually able to do the filtering. So we maintain these first two transformations. Then I also need to do the calculation. So to get the total orders, you know very well is that we are supposed to take the sum of our totals. I mean the sum of our orders. So order number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, like that. So we take the total of that, we add them together. So it's very easy to do that. So just come back to your panel. So within the panel, we need to add a field from calculation, which is already done here. But now the method is known as the reduce row method. So the reduce row is going to count all the rows because each row represents one order. Then we are going to leave everything inactive and we only want to count the order ID. So we mark it or we enable it like that. And then the calculation type is count all. So I'll select count all. Then we also give it a name as orders. Let me just call it orders. That everything else remains the way it is. So right now we don't have any data because I think we are still doing some more calculations in the bottom. So filter fields by name. I'll remove just a minute. So we have added a field from calculation. The next one is filter fields by name here. And within this, I'm going to just remove this. I don't think we need it. And then I think that is all. And then for the title, we also make it orders like that. Then for the units, I'm going to remove the units. And I think that is enough. I'll save this. And if I go back to the dashboard, you'll see that we now have our orders. The last 30 days is 300. The last 2 days, it's probably going to be 10 because I told my AI to generate at least 10 orders per day. So it's 20. And you can see even my revenue is going down. So I'll move to the next one, which is an average order value. So the average order value for my orders means that I'm going to get the average of, that is the total revenue divided by the orders. So I'll just do the duplication of this also. So then duplicate, and I'm going to take it to the far right, and then just reduce the size a little bit here and drag this section. Also drag this and just make it like that. So the next one is average order value. So I'll edit it. Still on the transformation section. So our first transformation, of course, we have to keep the date. So click on the transformation. So convert field type, we'll leave it like that, and filter date by values, or data by values, sorry. We also leave that like that. And we also need to add a field from a calculation. So we need to do some calculations here. So add a field from calculation. The type is a binary operation because we are going to do the arithmetic. And I'm going to take my unit price. Then I'll multiply that by quantity. And this should give me a total field, which is just the same as revenue, but let me just call it total. Like that. So the field is going to be called total. I will just minimize this so that we have a working space. Then I'm also going to filter fields by name now. So I will just add another transformation. And the transformation is filter fields by name, which is this one here. When I run that transformation, right now it's only showing the total and it's also showing the field. So everything else remains the way it is. It's a regular expression. I'll just uncheck the field and keep the total. Then after that, we shall now need to do the reduction. So we push this above the reduction after we've got the total fields. Then the reduce method is going to give us the mean. So we reduce the fields because we have already only selected the total. Other fields have been left out. So I'll select reduce fields. And instead of total, I'm going to get the mean of the total revenue. So mean should be this one here. And you can see that this is my mean. And this time around, I'm not going to use a gauge. Suggestions, it's giving us gauge. Visualization, I'm going to use a start maybe. Yeah. I'll just keep it as a start like that. And I'll save this. Maybe before I save it, I need to give it a name. I'll call it title average order value, and I'll save it. So after that, I'll just go back to the dashboard and see if I have it listed. Yeah. So the last 2 days, that's what we have. Let's check maybe the average within the last 30 days. 255, yeah. So it keeps shifting. Then the next visualization that I want to do is actually a bar chart or a bar graph here. So this one is going to give us the cells made within specific days. So let's do that. What I'm going to do is just to duplicate this, because duplicating makes things easier for us. It's possible just to fetch the data because it already adds a webhook there. So I'm going to edit this. Let me just check my notes. Then we go to the transformations. So within the transformations, we are going to keep the first two transformations, which is convert field type and filter data by values. Those ones are standard. So the first two, we're going to keep them. Then we may just play with the others. So the next thing I want to do is to add a field from calculation so that I'm able to get the total sales for each day. So we have this data here. So we need to get the total sales for each day. Yeah. Then once we have the total sales and we have the date, we shall be able to come up with a graph. Actually, that is just the same as what we have here as total, this one. The same as this. So add field from calculation. So it's going to be a binary operation. This is going to take the unit and it's going to take the quantity. We multiply them together and we call this total sales. But actually it's just going to give us exactly the same values as the totals. Then after that, there is no any other transformation that I need. So filter by name, add from calculation. So I'm going to delete these others. Filter by name. I'm also going to delete the reduce one because the reduce is going to just put everything together. So we only need 3 transformations here. And then within the transformation, I can look for suggestions and see what AI is suggesting. It's very bad. I don't see any bar graph here. So I'll just go back to visualization and select bar chart. And it doesn't look very nice. So I'll just go to the suggestions again. Just expand this. It doesn't look very nice. Doesn't look very nice. Okay. So I'll just expand this back and go back to visualization. And when I click on my visualization here, I'm going to use a visualization known as a time series, this one. So when I select the time series, it should be able to give me nice suggestions. So within the time series, it's still giving us very bad visuals. Let me look for bar. Bar chart. Anyway, so I'll set my title to sales. Then the description, I'll just leave it the way it is, empty. And then let's see if we are able to get other things to make this more beautiful. Just use a time series here. This still doesn't look. I needed a very nice bar graph here, but this bar graph doesn't look very nice. This one is very crowded. Line chart, area chart, gauge. Starts. Let me just play with this. Hidden all visibility. Access. The time I'll choose Nairobi because I'm in Kenya. Where is Nairobi? Nairobi should be. Let's search for Nairobi. This one here. So with it auto. Linear. Oh, okay. I got it. So we needed to change the lines to bars instead of lines. So the style should be bars. So I got it. So you can now increase even the widths. Opacity, we just make it more bold. So I'll just save this and save it again. And if we go back to the dashboard, you see that we now have a nice visuals here. So even when you click at the home, so that you have a full screen, this is what you have. So it looks much better. So the next part is just to have another visualization here, which is going to represent our sales by region. So I need to implement that, but I'll just make this more thin or thinner so that we have enough space. That then I'll just zoom this. So you've seen that I've not done any coding. Everything is just setting the rules. There's no coding here. So let's go ahead and duplicate one of the panels. I can just duplicate maybe the average revenue. So I'll edit this and I'll run to the transformations. The first two transformations remain the same. Convert the field and the filter by values. So those first transformations remain like that. The next one is add a field from calculation. And still it's going to be a binary operation, which is going to take my quantity, multiply by the unit price so that we get the sales per each region or country. So for Uganda, it's going to get the sales for Uganda here. Take this, multiply by this, and it's giving us the sales for this order from Uganda, this order from Tanzania, Kenya, like that. Another one from Uganda. So that's why I'm using this. We can just leave it as total. So I will I'll just minimize that because we don't need to touch anything there again. Apart from that, I'm going to filter by field names. So the only field names that I need here our total and country. Surprisingly, we don't have country listed. So let's get the country. Just a minute. So let me filter. Just a minute. So date filter is correct. So filter data by values is also correct. I'm just wondering why I don't have my country being included there. Match is in between. So what I'm going to do, I'll just go back and I needed to do some duplication. So I'll just duplicate the table. It's easier to move from this section. So I'll click on more and duplicate and just take the duplication on the other side, which looks very weird because of its with it in that. And then drag it to the bottom. And then I'm going to edit this. So within the editing, I'll run to my transformations. And I'll also change here to bar chart, like that, if I want. Or I can even select the bar gauge. Let me just deal with the bar charts. So within the transformation, I'll keep the field type. The first two, told you to keep that. And then I'll run and do the field from calculation. So add field from calculation, which is going to take my quantity multiplied by price. So total sales per country. I'll just call it total. Like that. Then replace all fields. I'll uncheck this. After that, I'll add another transformation known as filter fields by name. So add transformation, filter fields by name. And you can see that it's listing all my fields, including the total that we've created. So I'll uncheck all those other fields and only check country and total, like that. So only two fields should be active. Then after doing that, I'll add another transformation that is known as group by, because we have duplicate names. We have countries, not even duplicate. Countries are being repeated. So if a country is repeated, we take their totals and add together as a group. So group by country, I'm going to select stats or calculate. I'm going to select group by, not stats, so and leave this the way it is. Then the totals, I'm going to calculate the totals, and within the stats, I'll just take the total as my stats, like that. So you can now see that it's listing the countries, Uganda, Tanzania, Sudan, Burundi, and all that. Then I don't think we need any transformations. The only thing that I need is just to use the suggestions here, and the one that I want to use is this one. It's actually not showing it correctly. We shall fix that. So the list mode is table here instead of list. So if I expand back, you see that now everything looks nice. Uganda within the last 2 days had a lot of orders or sales. Then we have Tanzania, Sudan, Burundi, Ethiopia, Kenya, and Rwanda. So these are the countries that we have so far. So I'll go ahead and save this. And if I go back to the dashboard, looks much better now. Then I'm going to also have the last panel now, which is going to show a table for all our data. So all this data plus the fields that I've added, like the total and the revenue, and we shall also be able to do the filtering, sorting. So I'll just come back and just duplicate one of the panels. Probably this one is closer to a table, so I'll duplicate that. Duplicate, so it's at the bottom, and I want to expand it all the way. That. So this one, I'll just do the editing. And the editing that I'm going to do here is going to be very simple. First of all, within the transformations, we are going to keep our first two transformations, these ones. There's no adding field from calculation. Maybe we need to add the field from calculation because of we have added some fields. So the first two are going to be the same. Then add fields from calculation. It means that we don't need a binary. Okay, we actually need binary. Yeah, we actually need binary. Then we are taking the unit price multiplied by the quantity so that we get the total sales like this. Then we only need to change this to table, honestly. We only need to change it to table. We can even search table. And you'll see that our data is going to look like this. But now the problem is that it's only giving us the table of sales and the total sales, instead of giving us the table of all the values that we need. I know the reason why it's behaving like that. So what I'm going to do is just to let's minimize this and remove the calculation path. So once I remove the calculation part, we shall be able to have our whole table. I'll bring the calculation part. So add field from calculation. And the field that I want is, the type is binary operation. I'll just take my quantity, multiply by unit price so that I get the total sales or revenue, all that. So I'll just use quantity, and I'll call this revenue. That, so it's about sluggish, so it's lagging, so let's just patiently that. So after this, we have a nice table here now, and you'll see that there is a field here known as revenue added. So I'll just save this, and I'll probably just call it sales records table console. Give it a name. Let's just call it a sales. So go ahead and save the dashboard. And if I go back to dashboard, it just minimize this. I'll probably just make this smaller. And I'll just expand my table all the way to the bottom so that at least you're able to see the fields better. So you can do the sorting. It starts with Burundi. You can sort by name. You can sort by date, payment method. So if we click on that, you can see that it's sorting. So there's a lot you can do with the Grafana. So this video is very long right now, and I don't want to extend it, teach you about Grafana. I just wanted to introduce you to make you aware that there is a tool called Grafana, and you can use it to visualize your data from n8n. After you've done your editing, you'll just exit the edit dashboard, have unsaved changes. So I'll just save and save again, then exit, just discard. Yeah. So right now it's giving us the results for the last 30 days. We can do the results for maybe 2 days. So if we do the results for the last 2 days, it's going to show that to us. You can see it's only giving us a bar graph for this date and this date. And for the cells, see, they're all changing. And you can even see that the revenue is very small, 6.37K. But now if we take this to maybe 7 days, so our total sales is going to give us the total sales for 7 days. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. And you see even the revenue has gone up, and even the orders, the value has gone up like that. So that is everything about data visualization with n8n, Google Sheets and Grafana. Thank you for taking your time to watch the video. In case you have any questions or comment to make, you just put it in the comment section. See you in the next one.